introduce the Chairman of the Rusk County Board of Supervisors, Mr. Randy Tatur.
Good afternoon, everyone. I count it a real honor to be able to speak at this dedication ceremony today. On behalf of the Rusk County Board of Supervisors, I would like to thank all who have devoted their time, their talents, and their contributions to create this beautiful and meaningful memorial. This dedication ceremony is a time to set aside a particular place in order to honor and memorialize these Rusk County veterans who gave their lives in the line of duty. This memorial will help to say thank you to these individuals. We should also remember that we have created a debt to these veterans, a debt that we can never repay. Our liberties and values stand safe today because of these brave individuals, and we can thank God for each and every one of them. Thank you for being here today to help celebrate the lives and the legacies of those we have lost but never forgotten, always revered. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate those words as well. And then we have the City of Ladysmith Park Board President, Mr. John Terrill.
On behalf of the Park Board and the City of Ladysmith, I am honored to accept this fine memorial dedicated to the servicemen from Rusk County who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. This memorial became a reality thanks to the dedication of John Vacco, the local AMVETS chapter, Rusk County Veterans Service Organizations and their auxiliaries, Dave Kamosna and his crew, and many others who donated money or volunteered their time and talents. History has a way of repeating itself. It was 92 years ago, on the 4th of July, 1923, that a crowd assembled on this very spot to dedicate the Doughboy statue as a memorial to those who died in the Great War. 2 young girls were chosen to unveil the 7-foot-tall statue. Ethel McCorson and the ladies of the Service Star Legion led the effort, raising over $2,000 in donations to purchase the bronze casting of the statue done by sculptor John Paulding, titled Over the Top to Victory. It is probably the finest of the World War I memorial statues, and ours is one of just 2 of this kind in Wisconsin. The bronze statue, cast in Chicago, weighs over 1,000 pounds, and the granite base is over 9 tons. Mrs. McCorson also successfully petitioned the Ladysmith City Council to change the name of this park from Riverside to Memorial. Back in the 1920s, $2,000 would have bought a nice Sears kit home or a Pierce Arrow 7-passenger sedan. It was a lot of money, but Rusk County citizens, businesses, and government made the sacrifice to honor those who sacrificed even more. Those at the dedication 92 years ago couldn't have foreseen that more Rusk County boys would lose their lives in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Middle East. The new memorial recognizes their sacrifices personally by listing the names of those who died. Everybody listed was somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's husband, somebody's neighbor, or somebody's friend. Some died in heroic acts. Many earned medals. Some were killed just following orders, and some died not on the battlefield, but in a hospital ward of complications from the deadly influenza during World War I, or in a field hospital from wounds suffered in battle. Each of them has a story to tell. Dr. Leslie J. Phillips, the family doctor in Weyerhaeuser, left a wife and 2 young children to enlist in the Medical Corps during World War I. He traveled with the 32nd Division as they fought through France, treating the wounded and the sick. But no one could save him from influenza and pneumonia, which took his life on October 6, 1918. Vinton Moore, a graduate of Ladysmith High School and a popular young man of the community, enlisted in the infantry during World War I. He went to France with his unit and wrote a letter that his parents received in August of 1918. He wrote, "I'm at the front now and have been for some time. We expected to stay but 4 days, but they have long passed, and we're still here. Contrary to popular opinion, you don't go over the top every morning, nor do you have to man the guns 2 or 3 times a day. In fact, I haven't seen a German in daylight yet. At night, though, the ghosts walk, and the chains rattle, and many an innocent rat, foraging by the light of the moon, meets his doom in the shape of a hand grenade." He assured his parents that he was still vertical and asked them to write. Little did they know that he had been killed July 31st, 1918, leading his squad at the Battle of Chiarge. He never saw the German sniper who fired the bullet that took his life. I recently watched for the 4th time Ken Burns' epic series on World War II titled The War. A Marine who served in the European theater talked about a letter he received from his mother encouraging him to be careful and stay safe. The Marine said, "Being careful had little to do with whether you lived or died. Fate had more to do with it than any action you might take to avoid injury or death." Fate and luck impacted Ladysmith boys Bud Lowell and John Mickey McLone, who were both in the Navy during World War II. Bud was on the battleship Oklahoma when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. The ship was sunk after being hit by bombs and torpedoes. 429 of her crew died when she overturned. Bud Lowell got off the ship and swam safely to shore. Bud was reassigned to the USS Helena, a light cruiser. In the battle with Japanese naval forces on July 6, 1943, at Kula Gulf in the Solomon Islands, the ship was hit by 3 torpedoes. Most of the crew, including Bud, was able to get off before she sank, but 168 men perished. One source said Bud was on a 3rd ship that was crippled after 2 torpedo strikes, but I haven't been able to confirm that. He nevertheless was lucky to survive the war. Mickey McLone, a star baseball pitcher who enlisted in 1942, was assigned to the USS Pennsylvania, once the flagship of the Pacific Fleet and a sister ship to the USS Arizona. The Pennsylvania was in dry dock at Pearl Harbor when the Japanese attacked. 15 seamen were killed on the first day of the war in the Pacific. The Pennsylvania was repaired and went out to sea, sailing over 146,000 miles during the war, avoiding damage and loss of life. Shipmates on the Pennsylvania no doubt felt safe when she was anchored in Buckner Bay at Okinawa on August 12, 1945, 3 days before VJ Day. Radio messages strongly hinted that the war's end was near. But on the evening of August 12th, a lone Japanese torpedo plane flew over, saw the silhouette of a ship, cut its engine, dove, and launched a torpedo which struck the aft portion of the Pennsylvania. 19 sailors in living compartments, including Mickey McLone and 1 other sailor, were killed. The torpedo left a gaping 30-foot hole in the ship, so 3 days before the war's end, he lost his life. No longer fit for battle, the Pennsylvania underwent temporary repairs and was towed to Bikini Atoll, which was ringed with ships when an atomic test bomb was dropped in 1946. Woodrow Swancutt, who piloted the plane that dropped that bomb, once lived in Ladysmith, where his father was city band director. I've known many Rusk County veterans from World War I through the Middle East conflicts. One I'd like to meet someday is arguably the most famous. Ron Kovacevic was born at St. Mary's Hospital in Ladysmith on July 4th, 1946. He lived in the Blue Hills with his parents until the family moved to Long Island, New York, when Ron was 6 months old. His father worked at the local A&P store in Ladysmith, and they moved to Long Island, where he also worked at an A&P store and I think became manager. Ron served in Vietnam, and on his second tour was critically wounded, leaving him paralyzed from the chest down. He returned home and became disillusioned with the treatment of Vietnam vets, which he outlined in his book, Born on the 4th of July. The book was made into an award-winning movie directed by Oliver Stone and starring Tom Cruise as Ron Kovic. Ron visited Rusk County a couple times to see his grandmother in Bruce and his first cousin in Ladysmith. He currently lives in California. Melanie Meyer has compiled information about all the servicemen listed on this memorial. One of the copies will be at the Rusk County Historical Society Museum at the fairgrounds. One entire building at the museum is devoted to Rusk County's military history and has excellent displays, scrapbooks, and artifacts. The museum is open weekend afternoons through the summer from 12:30 to 4 p.m. and is open this afternoon and Memorial Day. I encourage you to visit the museum to learn more about our military and general history. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.